It was days ago.
Yes. Yeah, the whole backyard was on fire.
It was sad, but I'm glad to know that, 'cause I was like, well,
We ended up perpetual. We're getting there. We're down to minimal stuff.
It is.
I didn't
Loaded-
know.
The other day I loaded. Yeah.
I thought the same thing.
First job.
Hey, Julie, how long ago did he pass? Was it about a month ago? Were you there when his daughter was?
We weren't there when his.
It's kind of FYI, we are recording.
We're not recording yet.
Hey,
YouTube is.
how are you? Tell me how it is.
You got your back.
In and out. In spirit.
Physically, we're here.
Hey Kyle, can we get just a sound check on you?
That would be a no.
Can you hear us, Kyle? We can't hear you. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Those uniforms are sharp, I really like them. Yeah. Anybody else with that?
Recording in progress.
Over there, yeah.
But it's like wherever I'm at, it's yes, please.
All right. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order, dated November 21st, 2023. The time is now 6:30. Roll call.
Trustee Zazzaro.
Here.
Trustee Hartz.
Here.
Trustee Moreland.
Here.
Trustee Thomas.
Here.
Trustee Wolf.
Here.
Okay. Trustee Ah.
Here.
Trustee Thomas.
Here.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Here. Would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, does the board have any conflicts of interest to announce at this time? Tom, no?
I don't think so.
All right, seeing none, we'll move on to general public input, not pertaining to items on the agenda. If you would like to address the board, please state your name and address for the record.
Brian Blanchard, 627 Louisiana Drive. I just want to take a minute to say fully support the comp plan updates. And having said that, I guess what I mean is we've kind of come a long ways. You guys have come a long ways in the year or so that I've been attending meetings, and I appreciate that. We're becoming more proactive, which I'm a believer in, rather than reactive. I think we've been reactive for a long, long time in town, and I think it's time to shift that into the proactive status, so I appreciate that. I think with the addition of Katie and Nicole, that was a huge shift, and I appreciate what they've done and brought to the town. One thing I would like to say is that relating to being proactive, I don't know if you've noticed in the last few weeks in the articles in the Herald and the meetings that I've attended to in Durango with the planning commissions and different things, is that they're becoming more proactive. They are falling behind with their general fund. It's my understanding that we're falling behind in our general fund and have been for a while. So it's good to see that other municipalities are kind of taking a proactive stance in that how they're doing that. And real quickly, what I mean by that is if you haven't seen the articles, I encourage you to kind of look them up because it's growth and how growth should pay for itself. You know, from the day I set foot in here a year or so ago, I'm a believer that developers should pay their fair share. I'm a believer in development, but I also believe that we want good growth and developers to definitely pay their fair share as we get into these new big projects. Otherwise, as the articles say, and Durango has said, is that if we don't charge the developers fair fees and permit fees and whatnot, then it's going to fall to the taxpayers. And Durango is running about 32% of what they charge in fees that cover the actual charges. That means that 68% goes back to the taxpayers. We don't need to get there either. So I encourage you to do that. Please look at the articles and look at the fee schedules that are coming up. I know we've been, Nicole and Katie, and you all have been more proactive with the new fee schedules and all of that. Keep it up. That's all I'm here to say is that good job. Let's keep pushing forward. Let's get good growth and get some good developers in here. Not all developers are good developers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Anybody else? All right. Did everybody get a chance to go over the agenda?
I have a question about the agenda.
Yes.
If not everything is included on them, are we approving them for what was spoken? And if we feel like something was omitted, how do we get that added?
I don't know what
Can
you're
you,
talking.
What's missing?
can you be
Like the addition of Joe's resignation and the email that we got afterwards.
That's not on the agenda.
I know it's not on the agenda. How do we, it was on last week's agenda, it was mentioned about Joe, but not all facts were included in the minutes.
I mean, that was just for our information, his letter of resignation.
They don't usually go over
Yeah,
personnel issues, especially when they quit or if there's an issue or anything
So
like that, because
Which is my
it's
concern.
against their personal privacy.
Correct.
Right.
Which I feel like, since we have an HR director, and somehow Chief Hogue involved himself in it
I mean,
and made decisions in it, I don't feel like
I
we
think-
followed
I
a
think this is
proper
a conversation that,
protocol.
Do we need to go into executive
And-
session?
I'd like to know
Do we need to
if there
go
was
into-
actually a complaint filed.
So do we need to go into executive session for this?
I mean, this is not an agenda item. This is a personnel issue that is,
I know, but
I mean,
I'm
if
just
you had a
asking about,
question-
if it was on the agenda last week and we just mentioned.
it was not, it was.
No, it wasn't, but it was mentioned and it was added to the minutes. So if it's added to the minutes, if I'm saying no to, am I saying no to the minutes because they're not accurate in that they're not including everything? Or am I saying no to the minutes because,
Was this discussed at the previous board meeting, or was this between board meetings?
This
it was just mentioned that Joe resigned,
I think
but
it
then
was
we
in
got
between-
additional information in between.
Yeah, so I don't think it was included in the meeting minutes from the November.
The last meeting,
meeting?
it was mentioned that Joe resigned.
His letter of resignation was included in our packet
This time,
for our information.
this time,
This,
not last time.
it was mentioned last time.
Right, so all I'm asking, if that's all that happened and he resigned, no problem. But we get an email saying that somehow Chief Hogue got involved, made a decision about salary, contacted the attorney with the Human Resources Director. How did he get involved when it was an email between Katie and Joe? Why wasn't the HR person brought in at that point, the director, to handle this?
She was.
Yeah,
I don't
it was
know
all
what-
through proper protocol.
Okay, and there was no complaint filed.
I mean, I feel like this is a question that should have come up before.
I just got the information in between the two meetings. So it was addressed at the last meeting. So I'm just asking a question about approving the minutes. How do you approve something like that? And do we get an answer on whether or not a complaint was filed and why Chief Hogue was involved instead of the HR director?
So I would say that.
Can I get an answer from Attorney Goldman first, please?
Yeah, and before I do answer and respond, perhaps this is a good time for someone to file or suggest a motion to go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter.
Okay, let's go into executive session and discuss a personnel matter.
Second.
That would be pursuant to CRS 24
Yeah, we don't,
72 does our agenda provide for going into executive session?
no,
Not on that specific, yeah.
We don't,
no, it's not been posted 24 hours in advance. And I,
we don't provide for it in just generally?
No.
as a possibility. I'd suggest that we have this scheduled for an executive session to discuss the trustees' specific question concerning the personnel matter at the next meeting.
Okay,
Let's make sure we do that.
thank you.
And we'll properly notice it, and then we'll properly announce it in the meetings.
Okay, and then as far as responding to approving meeting minutes?
We're approving the agenda right now.
Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. Had to get that out.
All right, I am looking for a motion to approve the agenda as posted.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as posted.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Zazzaro.
Yes.
Trustee Harts.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, at this time, I will pause our regular meeting and open up our public hearing section, our first public hearing on Bayfield liquor renewal. We have, it's all in your packets. They're in good standing. The applicant is not here. They don't have to be here. Do we have any public input?
Who is it?
Bayfield Liquor?
Oh, that's
Their,
their name.
just their renewal. Board have any questions?
No, I'm very familiar with the business.
Okay. We'll move on to our second public hearing, Resolution 591, the 2023 budget supplement to terminate equipment replacement fund. Katie, do you want to?
yes, sorry, just get there.
What happened? Close out?
Yeah.
So this is a public hearing for number 3 budget supplement for the 2023 budget year. This is and the history in Resolution 591 just provides some history back to the Equipment Replacement Fund. They called it many different things, and they called it the Building Reserve Fund, and then they built the Senior Center and Town Hall. 2021 to 2010 was probably when they were accumulating funds in that fund. The 2008 budget process created a capital purchase fund. And then 2009, they renamed it the Capital Purchase Fund to the Capital Investment Fund. In 2010, it went to the Capital Investment Fund to the Equipment Replacement Fund. The 2010 budget process also terminated the Building Reserve Fund by transferring reserve to the Equipment Replacement Fund. This fund basically acts like a capital improvement fund, and that's exactly what you have. The voters actually approved 1% sales tax to go to that capital improvement fund. So this supplement is somewhat necessary, basically to transfer those funds. It's not an actual expense, it's just a transfer. And talking to Finance Director Cathcart, that the auditor has already provided that information about that transfer. But at least this is record and documentation of closing the Equipment Replacement Fund.
All right, is there any questions from the board? Do we have any public input? All right, seeing none, we will move on to Resolution 598, the Comprehensive Plan Update, and Mission, Vision, and Values Updates.
Yes, good evening, Madam Mayor, Board of Trustees. So this is the long time coming comp plan update. We started this process back in fall of 2022, where we really started it in summer of 2022. I did a series of outreach during our block parties as well as the 4th of July, and just asked the community questions about how they felt about the community, growth in the community, our community values, vision, mission. And so all of the responses are in the appendices, which I just sent a link out to the appendices, so they're on the website. But with that, we also had the Board of Trustees put together a group called the Comprehensive Plan Working Group. And then we met once a month for a year. And I know your representative was Alexis, and she's very helpful in the process, so thank you for that. And Kyle, which is on Zoom today, so thank you, Kyle. And we met once a month for a year. We brought in experts in different elements. Our comprehensive plan has land use, it has stormwater, it has hazard mitigation, utilities, and so we wanted to bring different experts for the subject matters to come talk to the working group. And then with those working group meetings, we came up with policies and goals and direction for the new comprehensive plan. And we did it that way because usually with the comprehensive plan update, you would bring in a consultant. But because this was just a mid update, we're not actually fully rewriting the comprehensive plan. You usually do that every 10 years. And so this was a 5-year update. We didn't want to spend any money on it. And so we had the working group, we had town staff, and then we had these experts in our region that just volunteered their time to come and speak to us and help us go through the comprehensive plan update process. And so I thought that was a very valuable process. And then, like I said, with that, each session we either had a separate meeting with a smaller working group, or at that working group meeting we kind of talked about goals that we wanted to see in the comp plan update. There were a few other things that really our old comprehensive plan either didn't mention or had very minimal discussion on, and one of those is, or I'll just list a few of them. So stormwater, we had a minor stormwater section, but after our 2022 stormwater events, we wanted to make sure that we beefed up the stormwater goals moving forward for the community. We also updated our community profile and demographic information with the most recent information that we got from the state demographer and the 2020 census. And we reorganized the document. The document, had its community profile, and then it had a section called existing conditions, and then it had the section on recommendations. And instead, we created a chapter for each element. And so the existing conditions and the recommendations were put under individual chapters versus 2 separate chapters. And so, for instance, utilities and infrastructure is one chapter now that has existing conditions and the goals. Housing is its own chapter with existing conditions and the goals. And so we just reorganized the document, hopefully making it more user-friendly for people. We refined and expanded the affordable workforce housing goals, the economic development goals. We wanted to concentrate on local economy and small businesses and tourism in our community. We also created the first agriculture section. We've never had an agriculture section in our comprehensive plan. And we really, we had experts with agriculture and irrigation come and speak to us. And we really want to embrace our agriculture heritage is what we kept hearing from the community, even when I was getting information back from them during the block parties in the 4th of July. And so we want to actually at some point do an agriculture land use that we can annex agriculture properties and that they can meet the standards in our code and operate within the town limits versus within the county. So this is the step to getting some agriculture zoning into our community. We also expanded our water sustainability, efficiency, and conservation goals. We refined our risk assessment and resiliency goals based on the updated hazard mitigation plan for La Plata County. And our goals, we really try to work on, concentrate on building aesthetics, multimodal circulation. We want to bring oil and gas hazards into our land use code, and then also just natural resource protections. So a lot of conversations were had during this process. And we have two different documents that are before you tonight. One's the mission, vision, and values. In that document, you have the existing mission, vision, and values that were adopted as part of our rebranding. And then we have the draft mission, vision, and values that we worked with, again, with community input and with the working group. And then, again, our public process, we reached out to the public. We had the working group. We did put this out there for a month on the website and advertise, put it in the newsletter. We tried to get public input. We had an online area where you can provide comments. And as you all probably have heard me in the past, I have a little jealousy when it comes to the comments we got back from Parks and Rec because I only got one public comment. But again, we did feel like we had some outreach. It would have been nice to have more comments provided when it was out there for a month, but that's kind of how planning goes sometimes. And so with that, I have a few things that were proposed by the Planning Commission. I wanted to go through some proposed changes that we had last week at their discussion at the Planning Commission meeting. And so those are found on page 3 of my staff report, starting on page 3. In the Planning Commission, there was some rewording of the mission and wanting just to try and reduce some of the and, is, and so really kind of consolidate that language a little bit better. The values, just dropping my Dr. Seuss language of all ages and wages at the end of values. I like to rhyme. I have a young child, but so dropping that piece and just say affordable housing options for all. And then 2 comp plan goals. Goal 6, there were 2 changes. The recommendation of changing E1 and 2, or reversing them. So E1 was recommending water-wise landscape standards, and they want that to be, Planning Commission would like that to be require water-wise landscape standards. And then number 2 was require new housing units to be solar ready, and they want to recommend that just because there is an expense, and we're trying to get more workforce affordable housing in the community. And so we would like them to be solar ready because, and you hope in the long run that helps reduce utility cost for that property owner, but it is a big expense up front. And so instead of requiring, they want to recommend. The other change that was proposed is just continue to track the and assess short-term rentals, and they don't mean donkeys. So we forgot an S on that one, but spell check didn't catch it because I guess that was another word. And then there was some discussion about Goal 5, B, and C, requiring affordable workforce housing through the annexation process, and requiring an architecture and amenities guide for all new subdivisions. And there were some concerns with that word require, and the impacts that would have on a developer. And staff kind of pushed back and said annexation time is the time to require what we need in our community. We don't have an actual number, so we need to work that out through the land use code. So there'll be further information coming through land use code amendments that would give more clarity on what that looks like. But if we don't require it at annexation, we won't get it. And so that was something that staff kind of wanted to bring up. And then the other one was the architectural and amenity guide. All our plan unit developments require that now. And so this would just be applying it to subdivisions as well. This is, if they're so small like the Orchard where they aren't going to put in a park, then they just need to kind of state that in that amenity guide. But what are they providing? What kind of amenities? And so spelling that out for those developments. So those two, we had one commissioner that felt strongly about that, and therefore, he did not vote for the comprehensive plan. But the rest of the board or commission moved forward with, and there was a 4-2 vote for the comprehensive plan. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I thought about reading it word for word to you, but I know Thanksgiving's coming and I don't want to hold you up. But I'm happy to answer any questions you have of staff on that.
I just wanted to say, I said this on the record at Planning Commission, but I want to say it on the record in this meeting. I just kudos to the working group for all of those meetings that you went to, and like I said, I'm a little bit jealous because you got a really in-depth look at all of those topics, and if I didn't have so many meetings in my life, I would have made a few more of those. But yeah, just a big thank you to those of you that worked really hard on that.
That was really cool. All the speakers and all the education and input was super helpful and a great experience. So,
Does the board have any questions of staff or any comments at this time?
That's a lot of information.
Yeah, I did.
I agree with the required, making it
That flip-flop.
recommended, yeah.
Yeah, it was a big
that's-
discussion on that.
It's expensive. And it's not always worth it, depending on the size of the house as well. And if there's enough upgrades built into the home for heating and that sort of thing in there, it doesn't make a huge difference to have solar. So, that's my only comment.
I thought this was really comprehensive when I reviewed it prior to tonight, and thank you. And to the whole team that put the time and effort into this.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Do we have any public input on the comp plan?
Brian Blanchard, 627 Louisiana Drive. Again, I'm here to support the comp plan. It was a good experience, and I think it was really helpful. We kind of did this for you all, to help you along the way here, because you all have busy lives as well. And to go through transportation, housing, agriculture, oil and gas, and have hours and hours of meetings with all these experts was really valuable, I think. So appreciate you looking at the comp plan. If you have any issues with it, please let us know. I also would suggest, and I may come to you about a continuing citizens advisory board where we organize outside of staff, business owners, bankers, churches, school, some other things that we can kind of bring together. As you know, I'm a believer that our town is changing and the dirt is moving, as I said, and I think we need to be ready for that. We're going to have a couple thousand new people here in town in the next couple years. So the little sleepy Bayfield has about had it. And the other thing is that I am a realtor. I have been for a long time, and I deal mostly with developers. And I've learned over the years that developers will try to get whatever they can. That's the nature of the beast. So being proactive and getting what you want to protect the town and protect the citizens of the town is really valuable. And when you see a word like required rather than encouraged, there's a reason for that. Good developers will adhere to what makes sense to them, but also what makes sense to the town. So thank you for looking at the comp plan. Thank you for Nicole. Thank you for Katie. Thank you for Jeremy, Alexis, everybody who showed up. And it was amazing that we had so many people, experts throughout the La Plata County, really, and the state, to show up to inform us and to educate us on the future. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I just wanted to add one more thing too, is what comes next after this is staff's going to be looking at our land use code and looking at what amendments can happen sooner than later that we'll be bringing to you probably in the first quarter of 2024. And so I'd say expect to see some code changes to try and implement this comp plan. And the implementation, as you see in the back section, it's going to take years. I mean, some things will take time. Others we can do. They're low-hanging fruit that we can probably accomplish sooner than later. And so just that's the next step for this process.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and close the public hearings and resume our regular meeting. Moving on to the minutes from November 7th, 2023.
Because this may be a good opportunity to kind of comment on Trustee Hart's question and so forth. This is the opportunity to approve the minutes from the last session. And it's subject to motion, so the motion is based upon approval of the minutes. If someone wants to make a motion to suggest that the minutes are somehow deficient and what might be added to make the minutes reflect what was actually discussed, then that's fine. It's not an opportunity, however, to suggest that you disagree with a particular topic that took place at the time of that discussion. It's just whether or not this was a historic record and it's accurately reflected in the minutes. So someone can make a motion to approve the minutes. It can be approved. That's subject to a vote. Doesn't have to be unanimous. It's generally by the majority. And if someone else wanted to make a motion, if that failed, wanted to make a motion to approve the minutes subject to an addition, and then a second, then that's also subject to a vote.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
All right, so I'd entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes dated November 7th, 2023.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Cesaro,
Yes.
Trustee Harts,
No.
Trustee Moreland,
Yes.
Trustee Thomas,
Yes.
Trustee Wolf,
Yes.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to our department reports. Jeremy, would you like to give the highlights of your report?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, trustees, I did prepare October staff report. If you notice, we did receive 87 one-call tickets, so busy as ever. That's quite a few tickets for us for the month of October. The water system, we did get the small clear well pump repaired and put back in, so we should be seeing some energy savings at the water treatment facility for that. We repaired a hydrant on the corner of Pearl and Buck Highway, and we have another one that's still out of service. That's on the corner of Park and Buck Highway. With the depth of the bury and the location, we're really trying to repair that in place rather than having to excavate and dig it up. So we're looking for parts through M&H and another wrench. 2 sewer strikes again in the sewer. One of them was attributed to the fiber installation. The other one was a private service on 547 Cedar. We did have a full road closure for 2 days over there with the excavation just because of the depth. That's about 12 foot deep for that service line repair. But that's repaired, the road's back open. Storm drains, we did work with SGM in October to go through a lot of the survey work in regards to pipe conformation and stormwater systems. So we should be moving forward with the stormwater feasibility study. We should have all the actual technical data that they need there. Streets and right-of-way, Mill Street sidewalks moving right along. They did get the asphalt patch back done, and they're getting really close to completing that south side of the sidewalk. Over there. Fiber optic still continues to be installed throughout town. We did have a few of our operators get additional certification exams. Mr. Josh Tolles passed his Class C certification for water treatment, so that's always a real big plus. We encourage that. And the CNL 211 at Lakeside is done. They're starting to install some of the equipment in their racks right there. We're working through the actual lease agreement. So they should be providing service here, we're hoping in December, to some customers in town. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if you guys had any.
When do you think the cones will be gone on 160? I know that's not our deal, but I know you talked to those guys.
It looks like they're getting close to wrapping that up, and that's been an interesting project. Put it that way. I don't know if I necessarily agree with the traffic control over there, but the culvert is all the way in right now. I know that Parks and Rec was over there cleaning up some of the trees that they removed for them, so we're hoping to see that done here really shortly after the holiday, before Christmas.
I was going to ask about the trees. Is there any plan to plant some more?
They did
No, I
clear.
get that they were old and needed to come down.
Yeah,
but-
so they took a lot of those problem trees down for us over there, and that was all part of the agreement for staging some of the equipment and stuff to replace that culvert.
How about that fence? Is that fence gonna stay up?
Yeah, I believe they replaced the fence, brand new, so I think they had to take the old one down to be able to get back and forth to the
Okay.
other side. But they said at the end of this week.
It's a nice fence.
Yeah.
They're starting to clean up and move equipment out, and so it should be done.
Cool. I was just curious on that.
We need more trees.
Yeah, I noticed the trees this
We need
morning.
more
I drove by,
trees.
like, where'd they all go?
All right, any other questions for Jeremy?
Yeah, are we marking all these sewer lines that Clearnex is hitting?
Yeah.
The services, are we mapping those all out?
The problem with that is we can only locate those to the best of our ability. A lot of the sewer services they have installed, say, particularly for, say, in Mesa Meadows, there's no tracer wire installed with those. They only require that since 2018. So if we can find a clean out, we've been running fish tapes down there trying to electronically locate them. Otherwise, we have to witch them. And so it is marked, best available information. So unfortunately, some of those have been hit.
Been a lot of them hit.
Well,
But
yeah.
several different
So,
contractors,
I know, I'm
it
trying to be
seems like.
optimistic, but yeah, we've had a lot of sewer service strikes, and it's unfortunate, because Public Works does get called out. A lot of our guys that are on call for the weekends end up fielding those calls, trying to address them, and if we can get the contractors out that did the damage that weekend, we're trying to keep our customers in service or keep them out of service for the least amount of time possible. So it's been challenging, but for the most part, I would say 90% of the actual excavation and construction for infrastructure is in. The rest of the work should be service drops to houses, and then they're pulling fiber and wire. So hopefully we can get this buttoned up and provide some high-speed internet to our residents in Bayfield.
Are they gonna fill in all their holes?
They should fill in all their holes, yes.
I know where there's a 2-foot deep hole over in the business park. That was theirs. There's a
Well-
board over it.
Yeah, if you see anything that's still open, definitely make Public Works aware, and then we can work with Clear Networks and
It's right in
project
front of-
management, make sure that
Right in front of Thumper,
they're wrapping up. Will do.
or your plow truck will go in it. I guarantee it. It's right next to the bike path.
So we might have plow trucks out Friday,
Eesh.
so.
That's not funny.
Right.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks.
All right, we have our police department report.
All right. Hello, Madam Mayor, Board of Trustees. Dustin Stritzel in for Chief Hoge, he's out. on some family vacation. Just a couple things of note, I guess, in the monthly summary report that he provided. He did attend the training facility to obtain his PO certification and passed all that. And we still have the 2 positions. My understanding is we're basically in the final stages or have pretty much one of those positions filled with the person that's been in backgrounds for that. Nothing major of note for use of force reports or complaints or anything for the department for the month. Our calls for service, we continue to, we're kind of in that transition with kind of moving towards Spillman, which since the last time we talked about Spillman, I don't believe we've made substantial steps, but we're still heading in the right direction and feel like most of the obstacles have still been out of the way for that, so it's just kind of buttoning that up, hopefully. But that being the case, some of the documentation for calls of service are a little bit not properly reflected in our current system. So there's a little bit of differences in the 2 years of calls for service. Blacksapole was she's been working on that policy manual, and that's been completed for the department. And the IGA for traffic with the county that we've been working on, bless you, that you guys all approved from our end of it. Early October was approved by the county, and to my understanding is all in place and everything for our expansion of traffic enforcement through the town and surrounding areas. And that's basically all I have.
All right, does the board have any questions?
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to our community development report. Nicole.
Yes, so comp plan, we just kind of spoke about that. But again, we're going to start looking at text amendments starting in January. It's going to be a couple months of different amendments. So hopefully first, second quarter of 2024, just depending on how many we go through. Our growing water smart metrics. So we just had our second meeting to really formalize what we want the Sonoran Institute and the Brendel Group, who's giving us the free assistance, what we really want them to concentrate on. And so what we've decided is we really want help with a water efficiency plan for the community. And that can include things like how we make households more efficient, landscaping standards. And so it's a long-term plan for how we become more water efficient. And so we really want to get some support on that document. We also have Right Water putting together a usage calculation for us based on land use, and so that's going to really be helpful too as we move forward with the water efficiency plan of which land uses use the most water, which we all have a pretty good idea, but how do we help make those land uses more efficient in the future. Dark Sky Certification Program, we did work with Visit Durango and submitted that application for the mentor program on November 1st, and so we're still just waiting to hear back if we've been accepted. And again, that's going to be free technical support to look at our code and lighting standards to see how we can better become more dark sky compliant. And so more to come on that. Hopefully we get accepted. I will keep you posted. Our energy performance contract. So this, the board did approve through Resolution 590 on November 7th. And we did submit the MOU to the state, and the state has, since I wrote this, they have sent that back to staff. And so now we're just working with McKinstry to get a contract in place so that they can start the energy audit for all our facilities. So hopefully next meeting I will have more information on that process starting. And then as for grant updates, Strong Communities, that's the one that we're applying for, the Pine River Commons, so that they can deed restrict their 66 units. We had, I think we already kind of gave you an update. We had a really good pre-app meeting with the state, and we were asking for 1.2 million for them, and the state said ask for everything up to 4 million, and so we went back and asked for 3.8 million. We will find out probably in the next week or so if we're invited to apply for that grant, because the application process, I believe, opens the beginning of December. So hopefully, I mean, the state's the one who encouraged us to ask for more, so I'm hoping that they think it's a good project and are willing to support it. There's not much on the grant for the Highway 160 pedestrian crossing at this point. SEH has been concentrating on trying to get the intersection engineering complete and the traffic study to CDOT for the new signalized intersection, so that's been their priority. But we will be doing some more traffic counts. They did get some counts during school time before winter, so probably the counts will slow down for winter time. I'm guessing not as many people cross the highway in the winter, but maybe they do. So we might still have them take a look at that and then put together their data for spring report. And then Transformation Affordable Housing Grant, we are still waiting to hear from the county if they're going to support us on that grant. And so I reached out again because I hadn't heard. And the state is willing to accept a conditional approval from the county. The county asked us if we would consider a conditional letter that would give us that funding once the project's complete, and the state said they would consider looking at that. So I've reached back out to the county, and I'm waiting to hear back if they'll support the $700,000 with their ARPA funds. And then congressionally directed spending, I got a inquiry this week on did we get approved for that, and as you all probably are following along with the federal funding, I don't know what's going to happen with that. It's still a proposal for $1.5 million of support, but your guess is as good as mine right now as to how that's going to play out at the federal level. And then I just want to give you one update that was not put on here, but that we found out late last week, and that's Black Hills Energy has, we found out through a builder that they are going to be not installing any service lines from December 1 to April 1 due to the winter conditions on their equipment and their staff. And so of course we had a lot of concerns because we have a lot of development going on, and we don't want to see a house sitting there that has water and sewer with no heat all winter long. And so we reached out to those that are under construction and let them know so that they can, if they're ready, they can try and get in before April 1 or before December 1st. So they don't have to wait till April 1st. So essentially what they've done to us is they've put in a moratorium for all certificate of occupancies for any development in the community until April 1. So we're trying to figure out that process, and like I said, we've reached out to those that are in development right now. And they didn't reach out to us. I found out through a builder who was asking to get the service line put in. So they didn't even bother to communicate with the community that this was going on. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on that as well.
Wow.
But I think everybody's aware that's happening now, and hopefully everybody that needs to get that line, their service line in, it does it before December 1st. So anyway, that's what I have.
All right, any questions from the board? All right, we'll move on to our liquor license action agenda for Bayfield Liquor. If the board has no questions or comments, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Bayfield liquor license renewal.
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Cesaro,
Yes.
Trustee Hartz,
Yes.
Trustee Moreland,
Yes.
Trustee Thomas,
Yes.
Trustee Wolf,
Yes.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, we have quite the financial and budget action agenda. I will ask at this time, do we have any public input pertaining to items 5A through K?
Awesome.
Seeing none, we'll move on to our October 2023 financial statements. Kathy?
Well, I included my report in the packet. I don't have anything to add. If you have any questions, there really wasn't anything to talk about. All funds are trending where they're supposed to. Of course, interest that we're earning on our Collar Trust accounts is still doing quite well. We earned a little over $48,000 in the month of October.
Nice.
So
Thanks for the little report. I like that.
Yep.
Does the board have any questions? I would entertain a motion to approve the October 2023 financials.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the October 2023 financials.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf. Trustee Ah.
Hey.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, your sales tax, the report is included. If there's any questions or discussion on that, it seems to be kind of holding flat there, huh?
Yeah.
Getting curious to see what happens during holiday spending, but
Right?
we won't know for a couple months.
Nope, we won't know for a couple months.
All right. All right, moving on to our auditor RFP.
Okay, well, as you guys requested, we advertised for professional auditing services for the year of 2023 through possibly 2025. The RFP was published in the Durango Herald September 29th through October 27th, and the responses were due to my office electronically by 12 p.m. on Friday, November 3rd. As besides being posted on our website and being advertised in the newspaper, I sent electronically the RFP to 23 different accounting firms. And at the end of the day on November 3rd, I had received 3 proposals. I heard back from a few that said, thanked me for the RFP, but they weren't interested at this time because they're too busy. But not a lot of them. Most of them just ignored us. The 3 that I received were, all 3 of those proposals are included in your packet. They were from a company, Hinkle and Company, out of Inglewood, Physical Focus Partners out of Arvada, and then our current auditor, Hinton Burdick, who is out of St. George, Utah. Hinton and Burdick has been conducting our audit services since 2011. They've done an outstanding job for us. They have, I've been the finance director. I've been for 2 years now, I think. I don't know. I did part of it, and then I became the finance director, I don't know, for a couple of years. They've been very instrumental in helping me learn what I'm doing. I mean, everything that I do is because Katie's taught me how to do it, and our auditors have provided some education along the way. It is my preference to remain with Hinton and Burdick. I realize that there's a price span of $8,400, but I do also, they did also, their hours suggested for our audit are they're estimating more hours than the other companies, and I think that's because they're familiar with what they do for us, so they know how long it takes. So the other ones, if we go over that, we may get an increase. I have done a lot of communicating on the finance director's listserv with all the other finance directors in the state of Colorado, asking about, how do they go out for an RFP every couple years? Do they change auditors? What do they do? I was surprised to find out that there are some that they do change every 3 to 5 years, but not as many as you would think. Most stay with their auditors. Every few years, they ask their auditing firm to maybe send a new staff member to do the on-site audit. But that's what I found out. I didn't call references for Hinton Burdick, just because we've worked with them for so long. The Hinkle and Company did provide 4 references. I contacted those references. I only spoke to one. The other three, I've called multiple times and no one has returned my phone calls or my emails to them at all. The one reference that I did speak to, basically all she told me was they were satisfied. She said that, I asked her, I said, well, do you ever feel like you get lost in the shuffle because they're so big, because they do have a lot of clients? And she said, well, I don't think we really get lost in the shuffle, but we have had to, we have had occasions where we've had to file the paperwork because we're late with our audit. Well, we don't want to do that. But the other firm didn't provide me any references. And I did speak to staff members at both companies. I mean, both the staff members that I talked to were friendly and accommodating and super excited to get our business. If I need to make a recommendation for someone other than our current auditor, I would recommend Hinkle and Company. But as you know, as I stated before, and as Town Manager Sickles has stated that she agrees with me, I would prefer to stay with our auditor. But of course, that's up to you guys.
This is a 2-year commitment when we select? or
It's
is it just
typically a 3-year.
3-year?
Typically
Okay, so
3.
3-year commitment, okay. And then did we budget for these amounts?
Yes, $30,000 for an auditor.
So it says in here that she said that some delays in filings, but wasn't sure if that was the auditor's fault, given some changes that they were going through internally.
Right.
So we don't know for sure.
We don't know for sure.
But you think?
And she didn't elaborate.
Yeah, okay.
Who do you guys use at the library now? Are you?
Not anymore, but I
Oh,
think
you're not the
we've been using Hinton and Burdick.
Same with Region 9.
Mm-hmm. I kind of want to stay with like what I know is going to get the job done. I mean, I get the whole fact of having somebody new come in just to make sure, but you know, if they can send a different employee that hasn't looked at it before, that makes sense to me
And
to do
quite-
it that way.
Yeah, and
I
quite
would-
honestly, the last few years, we've always had the same supervisor, the same CPA, has always been Kelly Jones, but the staff member that she brings with her it's changed over the last couple years. We've had Paula the last couple years, but Paula has also brought someone else with her that's never been here 2 years in a row either, so.
Do they have other CPAs there? Maybe we just request a different CPA and they can, you know, whoever that new CPA can ask their other CPA if there's issues or questions and stuff like that on what they did, but
Absolutely.
I would agree that we stay with them. I get the price is a little bit higher, but you're not running the risk of filing it late.
I worry that other company would come back and say, well, it took us an extra, 50 hours to figure out your stuff and
Right.
come back
Yeah,
and
it's
go,
running the
Exactly,
numbers
and
on
they don't
that.
know it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it is definitely like, if it was 175 hours and you're counting apples to apples, Hinkle is cheaper.
Exactly.
But they don't know us, they don't know our stuff, they don't know what we do. So there's a learning curve for Hinkle that could add hours that would make up that difference. And like I said, I just don't want to, I personally don't want to run the risk of filing late.
And I also want to offer Kathy some support as she grows in that role as well with her comfort level on that. So
I appreciate that.
Okay.
if there's,
So it seems like if they have done it for as many years as they've done it, that it would take less time for them. I understand that they know how much time it should take too. And we are talking about $25,000 over 3 years, which is not that much in our substantial budget, but it does add up. And to look over the proposals on all three of them, they appear to be equally qualified without knowing them. I understand that there's a benefit sometime with staying somebody, but just in our condition, our financial condition, I think $8,000 difference There's a few hours less, but again, they've done it before, so I'm not sure that those extra hours are required, so.
Well, we don't really know if those are extra hours or if Hinkle and the other, obviously the other one. didn't
More
put any
hours than the other one.
Yeah, Hinkle could just be taking a stab at it, have really no clue how long it's gonna take them. That could just be their experience with other people they provide services for. But, you know, having somebody who knows your financials and already understands your backstory is priceless.
I like Brennan's recommendation of maybe instead of Kelly this round, if they have someone else, just so that we can have another individual, qualified individual looking over our documentation. Because what if Kelly has been doing something wrong for the past 3 years? Like, I understand changing auditors, but maybe in this instance, we can stay with the same company and just see if they can swap out and just explain our concerns. Not that Kelly doesn't know what she's doing, that's not what I'm saying, but instead of going with another auditing company, we would just like to, you know, have a fresh pair of eyes on the work that they're doing.
And I think that's the one thing I saw the difference between Hinkle and Hinton is that Hinkle has a depth of auditors, whereas Hinton Burdick does not. And so we have, the board actually approved extra dollars to have more auditor time spent in our situation here this last year. So Chad Atkinson, who is, I think he's a partner in Hinton and Burdick, he was pretty much involved this year. So I think the question is that if we could get somebody other than Kelly or other than Chad, and if we can't, I think we need to know if the board decides to go a different direction. So just because they don't have the depth that Hinkle does.
Personally, I think that that's not really an issue. I don't want us to file late. That is, like, you know what I mean? That's like a big, huge no-no. So just the fact that the one reference we were able to find said that they had filed late, it just blocks it completely off my list of, yeah, we can do that. And I get that the price is less, but sometimes it's not worth the cheaper price to go. You get what you pay for, put it that way.
Absolutely.
And we always ask Heaton for, you know, considering they have our history, maybe a little bit of a split the difference. I mean, I know they're professionals and they deserve what they're billing, but that's quite a big difference. $41 an hour is a big difference. But I'm a firm believer in go with who you know, so.
Along those lines, and not to throw a monkey wrench into any of your thinking at this point, but I think you started off your conversation very appropriately about the fact that you change auditors every few cycles so as to make sure that you're getting the proper scrutiny
Right.
of your line items and your past expenditures and so forth over time. And if you stay with the same company, even though you're changing out folks, it's still the same company, and there is the thought that perhaps people are going
Not like-
to
yeah.
support past audits based upon the fact that they're with that company, even though they're a different CPA. So just additional consideration for you while you're thinking about who you're going to go with. And maybe it's not this cycle, maybe it's the next cycle. So it's up to you.
I just don't feel like we got enough response. I don't think we got enough info. If we had the references were able to contact you back and you've got more information from different people and they all had positive experiences, then maybe my mind would be different. But I think that not knowing, I mean, like, it's a big,
And it's not that
puts a big
I
question
didn't
mark
just
on it.
call once and forget them.
Right.
I mean, I called multiple times
Yeah.
and nobody called me back.
Did you ever ask Hinkle, do they have anybody else because they're not responding?
I
It's
did
not
not.
good references if they're not calling back
That's true.
that Hinkle provided.
I did not.
Finding a good CPA is like impossible. It's really hard to find good ones, it
Yep.
seems. I'm running into that a lot.
I think if we go with Hinton again, I'd like it noted somewhere when we look at this again in 3 years, that we really would like to consider changing this up. But I think given that we don't have enough information on the other folks because they gave referrals that didn't call back. And then.
Or none.
Yeah.
Because the other company didn't give any.
Yeah, and then Kathy being new in her role, if she's still doing this in 3 years, hopefully that's not a reason to stay with the familiar. And so
Right.
we could do this with someone who is different. But I think it should be noted somewhere when we look at this again, if we go with Hinton, that this board wants more information and would like to consider someone else, just as, Michael Goldman said. We need to, you do need to change things up every now and then, but that's just my thought. So I'm fine going with Hinton Burdick again, but noting that 3 years from now, we need to really be considering changing it up just to get a different perspective on our financials.
Well, my other question is, do we have time for more, try to contact them more? Or does this have to be decided ASAP? I mean, I know the audits are due at a certain period of time, so you got to get started you have timelines you have to follow. I get that.
Well, part of it is that we don't want them to find another client while we're re-advertising, because it is almost the end of the year, and you only have one more meeting. If you decide to cancel the 19th, you only have one more, so that gives us a short period of time, but that's certainly your decision.
And any company can have issues that could be a delayed filing, Hinton could do it as well. We don't really know the circumstances around the late filing. Maybe that municipality was delayed getting their information
Yeah,
over.
well, Hinton, ours were late for the 2021 audit, mostly as the responsibility of the town. I can't put that on them.
So, I don't really know the circumstances about why that was a late file. Maybe we do give Hinkle a shot. I can see both sides of all of it, but Alexa said $8,000 is a big difference. The hours may be a little bit different. Maybe they're underestimating. Maybe it's going to be higher. And like I said, I like to, I like using people but like he said, it's a good point to get a fresh set of eyes on there. And I'm sure that Kathy could really keep hounding and make sure we're not filed late.
Does anybody else have any opinions, or?
I think we should stay with Hinton myself, but.
Then I would entertain a motion, if you're ready.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to award the auditor RFP to Hinton Burdick for 23, 24, and 25. 2023, 24, and 25.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Zazzaro.
Yes.
Trustee Harts.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to our youth recreation reversible shirts. You have the prototype for us?
DJ and myself have been working really hard on this. We go through the t-shirts with the youth soccer programs, so there's like $2,000 for the youth soccer program. So this is the demo, and that came from actually Hot Steve. As you can see, it's reversible. It's just a demo model. We are working as hard as we can on possibly getting purple. Sponsors on the back. You guys want to see it?
Ooh.
It's really nice.
I like the reversible.
Type of material. We reached out to 3 companies. 2 of them had good bids in. The other one, Farmington, was way out of the price range. So we have them in your packet. I'm recommending that we go with half-price tees, and the reason is the prices were very similar from the 2. The half-price tees, they have all of the vendors and sponsors' logos already. If we were to go with Bob Silversmith, I believe, we need Adobe Illustrator, so we have to update our Adobe, which would cost money. He's got artist fees on there.
And what's the expected useful life of one of these?
3 years.
3 years? And so are we doing 3-year sponsorships maybe?
That's something that needs to be looked at. We have reached out early already to all these sponsors. We've sent them letters and emails, seeing if they're gonna, up next year. Actually, we've already received 3 back. They've already given $500.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of those would be regulars. So we're looking at what, purple and white or purple and?
Purple and gray, unfortunately.
Okay.
It's the color that comes from Augusta, is the company, and it's kind of hard to follow my quotes because basically it's an email chain.
Yeah, it's like, as long as we're not going with white.
Yeah, no, this is just the demo model. This is just what he had on hand. But Augusta
can do
is a good
purple and
product.
black.
They've been doing it for a lot of years. I did try to get purple and yellow, but they can't do that from the manufacturers. The manufacturer will ship them shirts and then they'll print all of them out.
Okay.
Not only does it reduce the 2,000, or probably about 4,000 a year we spend on t-shirts, it's gonna reduce the labor. I myself did the last youth round of soccer, and I was literally up there sorting shirts for probably 7 hours.
A lot of pain.
Wait, you started by saying we paid $2,000 for
The regular t-shirts.
the regular T-shirts, and this is going to cost us $8,000 over 3 years?
Yes, and the reason I'm ordering so many extra is I like to do the program, and I stole it from Durango Parks and Rec, where you get your one-time fee of your shirt. As your child grows, you bring me back this shirt, and you get another one the size up.
Oh, that's how they,
Yes.
And
So
then-
it's just a one-time fee, almost like a deposit, basically.
gotcha.
And then you bring this shirt back, we launder it, and we get you a size up as your child grows. It's gonna eliminate that labor, it's gonna eliminate the $4,000 we spend a
Yeah.
year in used shirts.
And then, when they sign up, do they pay for the shirt?
That's something we're gonna have to work out moving forward, is where they're gonna, how we're gonna pay for it from the citizen.
Okay, but they will
But I
pay
want
for
to
it,
be a one-time fee, where you bring me in on a shirt, I give you another shirt.
right?
Now, if you lose that shirt, you have
We
to
keep
pay
your
for it.
Bye-bye,
Right.
yeah.
Okay,
In a lot of places, you would see that email sheet where he throws his daughter in, as an example, she lost her ski to $50 it cost them. So, most all other Parks and Recs programs use these. They're great material, the printing, like I said,
Breathable.
should last about 3 years, even with the little air holes in it. It was purple and gray. What I was gonna do is on the purple, I was gonna get yellow lettering on the purple, and then on the gray, I was gonna do purple and gray.
Well, I definitely would like to see this pay for itself, so whatever that cost needs to be, since the sales tax didn't pass, which was supporting recreation.
Yes, this is definitely a more sustainable
Yeah.
thing and cost savings. It's gonna cost a little upfront.
Yeah.
I did misspoke. I looked for it in the budget last year and couldn't find it as a capital expense. It was just on a spreadsheet as a capital expense. But the program's Parks and Rec budget, we're $25,000 under budget right now. So we could pay for it out of our program's budget.
And who knows, they might last more than 3 years.
It's very possible.
I think it'd be good. It's definitely better than just a bunch of shirts. I mean, no offense, I've got
Well,
more
new
than I
shirts
need.
every year.
Right, and that's the feedback I get from parents. You guys should, I hear it all the time. My kid has 7 red shirts, can we be green? And I get a lot of that, so I just think it's more sustainable, just the labor savings. as
And they're
well on
cooler,
top
I
of
mean,
it.
temperature wise.
I think they're
It's
great.
not cotton.
Yeah, those cotton shirts when you're playing sports, oof.
Yeah, especially I got the heaters turned on in the middle of the gym.
Yeah, I
Awesome, well,
think,
thank you very much, Dustin.
yeah, nice job.
All right, if there's no further questions or comments, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of reusable shirts not to exceed $8,000.
We have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. Okay, moving on to Resolution 591.
So this is a resolution that just had the public hearing, and by the way, my apology for escaping out. My Adobe decided to reboot and wanted my passcode, so Anyway, I got that taken care of. But this is a resolution, this is a budget supplement number 3 for the budget year 2023.
Do you have any questions from the board?
Thank you for getting it cleaned up. Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve Resolution 591.
I'll second.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to Resolution 592.
So this is the resolution that adopts the 2024 budget. You did have a public hearing on November 7th of 2023. The computer software water meter relocation was added. And by the way, I just got a notice from Cassell, they're raising their rates. So I can't win on the computer software IT stuff. But anyway, 4% increase for Cassell software. And then also added the, like I said, the water meters. Based on Governor's special session announcement, the property tax was maintained as if Prop HH passed. So instead of adding, $33,000, I just kept it where it was. And we won't see that assessment from the assessor's office, that letter, until probably in another couple weeks, so.
Questions, comments?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 592.
Second that.
Do we have any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
No.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to Resolution 593.
So Resolution 593, you've just adopted the budget. The board also has the authority to appropriate funds so that we can continue operations, payroll, purchasing supplies, and things like that. So anyway, this is the appropriation Resolution 593.
Any questions or comments on that one?
There's a typo in it. It says now therefore be it resolved.
Okay,
If you could just fix the typo.
thank you.
You're welcome. Other than that, I don't have anything.
I'd entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 593 with the correction to the word resolved.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, Resolution 594 to certify the mill levy.
So the mill levy, the voters in 2003 voted to keep the mill levy at 5.95. And that's somewhat of a debrucing. The pages that are typically added will be somewhat similar to the certification evaluation from the La Plata County Assessor's Office. But the mill levy is not likely to change, even if the assessed value does.
All right, does the board have any questions?
No, Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 594.
I'll second.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes, if you can hear me.
Yes, we can now.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to Resolution 595, the constrained fund balances.
So constrained, but fund balances is a GASB Statement 54 requirement. And what it does is it tells you what cash is in each fund and if it's restricted, committed, assigned, or unassigned. So I appreciate Finance Director Cathcart. Basically, we finally got this done, something I've been wanting to do for a couple of years. Basically, so you have a real picture of where money, when it's actually restricted. And it also includes the TABOR, 3% in there as well, just so you always have that in there.
This one also has a typo with the same word.
Well, let's double them, thanks.
It's Rezo loved.
It is very reso-loved.
All right, any other questions or comments?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 595 with the correction to the word resolved.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Harts.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, Resolution 596, wage scale.
So the wage scale in Colorado, we're required to advertise with actual salary information. So the wage scale is basically set up to identify employees and where they're at, whether entry, midway, or high. The town has not had a professional salary survey that we're aware of, and Human Resource Director Lamb is looking into basically an option where it would be at no charge because we participate in Employers Council to get a salary survey. She said it'd be a lot of work up front, but we could get that done, which we really need to do. And then every 2 years, you should be updating that as is, so.
Any questions for Amber, since we got her here on the?
No, Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve Resolution 596.
I would also note the same typo.
Yes.
Sorry.
Way to go, Lori.
Geez, sorry,
I was
sorry.
kind of waiting for one of the trustees to,
I was looking
have
at the
that
actual
glory.
wage scale.
Well, you make
Yes,
one
with
mistake,
the
it just
edit
keeps-
to the word resolved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Harts.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. Okay, Resolution 597, partnerships and community grants.
So the little spreadsheet in there was actually part of the budget public hearing on November 7th. The only thing that changed regarding La Plata Youth Services, if service resumes, they have stopped serving the town of Bayfield. And on page 91 is the document from Dr. Jason St. Mary. Basically, he called the chief and the judge and the Bayfield people cohorts. So the goal of a doctor is basically that officers direct juveniles to youth, La Plata Youth Services. The issue that the judge and the police chief feel, and Sergeant is also in the room, is that we really feel that it's the judge prerogative to send juveniles to La Plata Youth Services. So that's the disagreement. I have talked to Chuck Stevens as well. They do support La Plata Youth Services, and we'll maybe see if we can come up with a resolution. But if not, there's no reason to provide them funding that if they're not providing us services.
Right.
And in addition, the RHA, we got an escalation budget regarding the town of Bayfield, which would be an additional $3,000. We didn't anticipate that. And you have an RHA member on your board as well, that if they decide that they need additional funding, maybe they come back in 2024.
So they're asking for the additional funding now or later in 2024? Who's the RHI?
That's me. It's,
Why are they asking for
it's,
the additional?
it's later. Do you want to explain it?
Yes.
Do you
So-
want it?
Yep, so the RHA agreement that we signed with all the members, actually, we were looking for the escalation clause when we were at our last meeting and couldn't find it, but maybe there was an assumption that there was an escalation clause in that agreement. So at this point, I think that we were clear that we're only going to approve the $11,250, and if for some reason there's a real need, in 2024, they may have to come back to the town for the additional $3,000.
Okay.
But we're saving money on the youth services thing, right?
Well, for right now,
For now?
yes.
For now, okay.
So are
Sorry,
they-
make sure I'm following along here.
And keep in mind that we may be spending that money kind of in a different way, because what the judge would like to do is appoint them for service in Bayfield. And of course, the first thing he said, well, can they work in, the parks or recreation? And so that still takes somebody to manage, and, they can't have motorized equipment or tools or things like that. So somebody's still got to watch them and make sure that they're doing their hours. And our HR director needs to make sure there's a catalog or, how many hours that they have. So when they go back to the judge, it's documented. So we may save $7,800 from give it to somebody else, but we probably may spend it in-house managing the program.
Katie, I just have one question about that. It doesn't impact this, though. If they're cutting this off as of November 7th, and are we still paying them for services?
No, I'm not going
now?
to pay them anymore.
Okay, just making sure that us paying them for services is not happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because if we were 12-month services and they're not providing that,
That's
I don't
correct.
think we should pay them for 12 months of service.
As your municipal prosecutor, I just would like to make a pitch that we do our best to try and engage youth services once again, because in my experience, they've
important.
provided a very good service on behalf of the youth once diversion is determined to be in their best interest.
Okay.
And again, as Ms. Sickles pointed out, it's a question whether the diversion takes place based upon an officer making that determination immediately on scene, or if there's at least some opportunity by the municipal prosecutor in combination with discussions with the officer, in perhaps coordination with the court, whether that diversion works for that child. But ultimately, the Division of Youth Services, I think, does a great job once that determination is made on behalf of that child and the family.
I would agree.
All right, any other questions?
So on the Homes Fund contract, so we're just paying them, are they doing things for Cinnamon Heights now?
They're doing it for Fox Farm.
Fox Farm?
Mm-hmm.
We pay them for,
Yeah, we pay
Yeah,
for Fox
so we
For
pay them
Fox
to
Farm,
do the income qualifications for any
oh, that's
new
right, that's right.
sales in Fox Farm, but also they are working on the deed restriction for Cinnamon Heights, which they met with you. I guess it's been earlier this year, I think it was. Lisa Bloomquist was here.
But that's not part of this $9,040. It's a different,
So this is just for Fox Farm?
yeah, we already paid them
Yeah,
for
we already
Yeah, I
paid them.
understand.
for
We're on
Cinnamon
RHA,
Heights.
Yep, I remember now.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, that's all right.
All right, any other questions?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve Resolution 597.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Zazzaro.
Yes.
Trustee Harts.
Yes,
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Nay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to our action agenda. Do we have any public input pertaining to items 6A, B, or C on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to Resolution 598.
Madam Mayor,
Oh.
I have one quick comment.
Okay.
Brian Blanchard, 627 Louisiana Drive. In regards to the comp plan, I don't know if it was clear to everybody regarding the solar portion of that being solar ready. It's not that they have to put in solar, it's just they have to have a hookup in case they want to add it. That was a kind of a miscommunication on the last go-round. Thank you.
We moved that to recommended, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Does anybody need any other clarification or have questions on those updates?
I don't.
Then I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to move forward with alternative action A, which is approval of Resolution 598, ratifying the Planning Commission's approval of Resolution 2023-01, adopting the comprehensive plan update and mission, vision, and values updates with the following findings and conditions. Findings A and B, conditions 1. And that's it.
All right, we have a motion on the table.
A second.
And a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Harts.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Nay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, hey, got through that one. It's been a, it's been a process. All right, we'll talk about our upcoming meeting dates and/or cancellations.
So, January 2nd is just the day after the new year. And we'd like to cancel one of those, preferably the 2nd. The municipal code does provide some options for the mayor to cancel those, but I thought this is a good time for you as a board to review this to see if there's any other options. None, one, both.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've discussed the possibility of canceling both the 19th and the 2nd. We're asking just maybe a placeholder on that 19th if something comes up that we have that can't wait.
I was gonna ask what's coming up that, you know.
Well, I mean, planning
we're-
commission is canceled
It won't
as
be
well,
planning
the 12th.
commission, it could be anything that, we're not gonna have a time for a budget supplement if that's required, but if there's anything that's hanging out there that just needs to be addressed, but a week before, we'd be able to cancel it, so. Or anyway, my motion included a week before.
Yeah, I'm not here on the 5th, but I think the 19th is pretty far off from the holiday, that if something comes up, we could meet. Or plan it and then cancel it if we need to. And then cancel the January 2nd one.
I'm
Yeah,
fine with canceling the January 2nd one since school's out, and then keeping the 19th on, but then with the option of if there's really nothing that we need to significantly meet on, that, I mean, it could be a conversation with Katie and Ashley saying, you know what, we can postpone any agenda items that come up until that January,
It would be the 16th,
16th.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that may be a doozy of a meeting, so if we,
It may be a bigger meeting, but on the other hand, there's appointments that you'd have to make, or excuse me, not appointments, where you post the agenda. So there's some other things, but, department reports may be doubled up, but, it's certainly your call.
but yeah, I think we definitely cancel the 2nd and
and then just
we'll make that,
19th
see what
by ear.
happens with the 19th if it's needed.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
and you're good with this direction?
Yeah.
All right. I know. Okay, we'll move on to La Plata County IGA.
So today on the meeting days, or the third Tuesday, I meet with Carrie Kirkpatrick, who is the senior center coordinator, sorry. She has stated to me that the county is showing up late to serve lunch, and then they leave at 1:30 because they're supposed to be back in Durango at 2 o'clock. So that blue, I'm sorry, it's really hard to read, but I just added a sentence that perhaps you can consider, is that regarding congregate meal service, the county shall provide service 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. with a minimum of 2 county employees for food service and dish duty. So in the past, they've provided 2 people, somebody came in, helped served, and then somebody was cleaning up, and then somebody was doing dishes. Well, now the county continues to request that Carrie look for volunteers. Well, Carrie keeps finding volunteers, but we kind of think at this point it's kind of either their job to send a dishwasher or pay us, and we'll figure out how to hire a dishwasher for 2 hours on Wednesdays and Fridays. And so that's why on the pink side, on the other side, it just said, maybe we just modify that to $4,474 if they can't provide a dishwasher. And the issue is that with 11:30 is they show up late, and this is from her. I think some of us were there helping on Friday, but they show up late, and then they can't finish their work, and so they leave her with doing dishes. And Carrie's asked, am I supposed to be doing dishes? And I said, well, that's not, I don't think it was ever our job to do dishes. They're paying us to set up the tables, to take the tables down. If they want us to pay us for a dishwasher, well, that's another cost.
I agree with what you're saying, Katie.
Oh, me too. I'm shaking my head because it's ridiculous. that
Yeah.
They're not doing this for them.
Any other thoughts, questions?
No, they haven't made.
I think we're looking for a motion here to,
Authorize.
yep.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize Mayor Tarkington to execute the IGA.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call.
Is that with the changes
With
or
the-
without?
With the
Changes.
changes,
Yeah, sorry.
yes,
Just want to make
sorry.
sure, because it's
With the
not actually in
changes
the
just
packet.
discussed.
Okay.
Presented in the add-on. All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, you all have your dates of interest coming up. Anybody have anything to add?
Was there
Heck.
a decision, motion, roll call with regards to the office or the building closure?
The meeting's being canceled. We didn't roll call that.
Oh, we,
I
thought
mean,
we
that's
rolled-
certainly up.
No, I thought it was direction. we
Yeah, it
had.
was direction. on
Okay,
it. Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
So the planning commission, I've heard from the majority, and so we are canceling the December meeting because we had no submittals for that meeting, so.
All right.
That's good to know.
I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting. It is 8:04.
Not too bad.
Early, wow.
Happy anniversary. So will you work with
he's
Chief
just
and
giving a
Amber?
little time.
Well, I'll see you guys in a month.
Executive session?
Here.
Maybe.